Be vegan. Make peace. Do good deeds. Heaven, Godspeed.
Warning: sensitive content.
Our programs offer many languages. Please visit suprememastertv.com/schedule.
When Mr. Thomas, vegan, learned that high levels of fecal coliform bacteria from cattle people had been detected in the streams bordering the ranges, and that the pollution was flowing into Tomales Bay, he was shocked. He started making a film that turned into a 3-part series called The Shame of Point Reyes. Skyler Thomas, vegan, helping to protect endangered species, Part 1 of 2. Please continue watching to learn about one man's efforts to raise awareness.
No to vegan. Turn your back to heaven. Running to hell.
Marcy is how members of the Quechua Nation say hi to each other. These indigenous people inhabit the boreal and Arctic regions of Canada's Northwest Territories. Praiseworthy viewers, my name is Edzo, and I am honored to be your host. The prayerful residents of these communities ask God to bless you with positive thoughts for a productive life. Welcome to our show titled Skyler Thomas, Vegan, Helping to Protect Endangered Species, Part 1 of 2. Since 1900, the United States government has passed several pieces of legislation intended to preserve wildlife. These efforts culminated in the Endangered Species Act of 1973. 2 federal agencies are responsible for implementing the law: the United States Fish and Wildlife Service, or FWS, and the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, or NOAA. In 2012, the then U.S. Secretary of State, Her Excellency Hillary Clinton, announced that December 4th would be the first Wildlife Conservation Day. She asked members of the public to make a pledge to respect and help protect the world's wildlife. Skyler Thomas, a vegan, is an educator, wildlife ecologist, and independent film producer. He has dedicated himself to fostering a harmonious coexistence between humans and animal people living in their natural habitats. His self-identity evolved from spending some 20 years swimming with various citizens of the shark kingdom and recording his interactions with them. In 2009, he started a nonprofit called White Shark Video and began releasing short films of his underwater experiences. These received considerable attention and led to Mr. Thomas producing his first feature-length documentary, Great White Lies, in 2014. It examines the practice of intentionally reducing the population of shark people in Australia, South Africa, and New Zealand. The California resident also speaks about his work and vision for the future at schools, institutes, and museums. In 2021, Mr. Thomas graciously agreed to be interviewed remotely for Supreme Master Television. We began by asking him about the motivation for his cinematic activism.
I've always benefited greatly from my time with animals and out in nature. It's a refuge. It's a free therapy. I call nature my free therapist, and animals are free therapists. And that's true for everyone if we only take the time to enjoy the gifts that have naturally been provided to us. But as human beings, it seems to me that we have gone this different direction where we define ourselves by separating ourselves from nature and by subduing nature. A lot of the things that we call civilized, if you look at them, basically mean oppressing other animals and subduing the earth. And it really bothers me because not only are we doing something cruel and unkind, but we're actually hurting ourselves at the same time. It's a very twisted little circle we've gotten ourselves into. And I'm just trying to get people to wake up to that. I'm like, look, you could be doing good things and kind things and not committing these atrocities against the planet while benefiting from it in your heart and your soul and your physical health.
How did it happen that humans got confused and sidetracked? What is the biggest obstacle to seeing that if we damage Earth's ecosystems, our planet will be unbalanced and unhealthy?
Our species revolves around money. We define value on how we can monetize something. Like if you look out at land, we either see that we can turn it into agriculture use or we can develop it. A lot of people look at something gorgeous, and while a piece of them is saying, oh, wow, I'd like to go for a hike here, there's also that other piece of us that can't wait to get back to the world that we have trapped ourselves in, so to speak, and get back to making money. Too many of the immoral decisions that we make, all of us, usually boil down to money, whether or not you're afraid of losing your job or the project isn't going to bring you in money. And unfortunately, that means that decisions that the purer side of us, the child inside of us would have made, get put to the side because those internal morals of those ethics have been put aside by what we've adopted as adults as what defines us as a successful or important member of society.
Point Reyes National Seashore in the United States is an example of a scenic reserve that is home to a rich diversity of wildlife. At the same time, parts of the park are occupied by private ranchers who were allowed to lease back land they had sold to the government. Mr. Thomas lives about 200 kilometers from the coast and knows it well.
If you go to Point Reyes National Seashore, people can enjoy the elephant seals, which is something rare to find, the tule elk, viewing bobcats, but it's one of those places that is shrouded in mystery a little bit. You can go for a hike out there and feel totally alone, and you get covered in the fog and just listen to complete and utter silence, which is very healing in itself, or the distant sound of waves breaking and maybe a very distant sound of the elephant seals coming over the top of all of that. It can be a very healing place.
But when Mr. Thomas learned that high levels of fecal coliform bacteria from cattle people had been detected in the streams bordering the ranches and that the pollution was flowing into Tomales Bay, he was shocked. He started making a film that turned into a 3-part series called The Shame of Point Reyes. We asked him to tell us what was at stake there.
The tule elk are kind of the poster animal for this issue because they're rare. They're endemic. They can only be found in California. They're very special. They're amazing to watch. They're amazing to listen to. But you can't look at just the elk. You have to look at the degradation of the soil, the pollution of the water, the expansion of ranching activities rather than the diminishing of ranching activities. What's happening in Point Reyes National Seashore is happening across the United States, but this is a national seashore. You know, this is a special place that some people say could be the Yellowstone of our coast because we have such a special aggregation of different species of animals there. If we can't save this tiny little area because people want to keep making money through industries that should have gone extinct long ago, then it should make you pretty concerned about the fate of the rest of the habitat and the wild in not only the United States, but the world.
Mr. Thomas's visual storytelling has turned many heads and drawn attention to the situation at Point Reyes. What can other caring people do to raise awareness and bring about change?
This comes up a lot. People are like, hey, what can I do to help? And my answer is, well, what can you do? Because it's one thing to just say, I'd like to help, but I think you already know what it is that you're willing to do and what your skill set is. So if you're so motivated to help, go for it. Like I had no business making this film about Point Reyes, and I had no idea that it would catch on and make a difference, but I just decided to make it. I didn't go and ask people if I should. I just did it. Now, you don't have to be a filmmaker or a journalist or anything like that. You have to look at what your skill set is and say, hey, can I use that to try and make a difference instead of just clicking a like button and moving on to the next topic. You have to decide if you really do want to make a difference and if you're going to fight for it. So that's my advice to anyone who is moved by this and is interested in getting involved. Look at yourself in the mirror and ask yourself to what extent you are willing to dedicate yourself. You know, are you going to create a grassroots group? Do you want to do demonstrations? Are you going to be a writer? Do you have political ties? Do you know people in areas of power and influence? What is it that you can do? What is your particular skill set that you can bring to the table? To answer that question, I would just challenge people to ask themselves what it is that they can do and will do.
We are grateful to Mr. Thomas for granting us this interview and for his dedication to spotlighting instances where human activity is harming wildlife. In tomorrow's show, we will discuss the filmmaker's research into the culling of shark people. Please join us for part 2 of Skyler Thomas, vegan, helping to protect endangered species. For more information about Mr. Thomas and his work, please visit youtube.com/c/watchinghumans/videos.
You call some animal people beasts, cause they are vicious and kill other beings to eat. Aren't you the same if you eat animal people meat, whether or not you kill or someone else kills for you to eat?
Earth-loving viewers, thank you for joining us today. Next is Virtuous Vegan People Will Be Protected by God Power, Part 5 of 5, on Between Master and Disciples. May angels guide you on your journey back to God.
Be vegan. Make peace. Do good deeds. Hell not reach.
Our programs offer many languages. Please visit suprememastertv.com/schedule and suprememastertv.com/AW.
Nos programmes offrent plusieurs langues. Veuillez visiter suprememastertv.com/schedule et suprememastertv.com/AW.
Nuestros programas ofrecen varios idiomas. Visiten suprememastertv.com/schedule y suprememastertv.com/AW.
Τα προγράμματά μας προσφέρονται σε πολλές γλώσσες. Παρακαλούμε δείτε suprememastertv.com/schedule και suprememastertv.com/AW.